Hey everybody, and welcome. I am Morgan Gist McDonald, founder, CEO of Paper Raven Books, and I have with us today the author of the brand new book called The Snyderverse Saga, the culture-shattering phenomenon behind Zack Snyder's DC film universe. We have author Daryn Kirscht here with us. Thanks for being here, Daryn.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, this is such a cool book, and it is already released to pretty great number ones. You're already hitting number ones in movie and video guides and reviews, television direction and production, video guides and reviews. So there's already kind of some buzz happening around the book, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about the Snyderverse saga. Kind of, what are we gonna, what are you gonna talk about in this book, and who might be interested in this book?
For sure. So when people probably hear the Snyderverse Saga, they might be a little confused at first, like, what is that? Is it like a novel series or something? But no, it's actually about a specific DC movie universe that started with Man of Steel back in 2013, and pretty much has gone up to kind of the present day with the new version of Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League. So it covers everything from that movie all the way up to now. So if you're someone who loves DC comics, who love superhero movies, even people who love movies in general or behind the scenes and would love to learn more about the process, it goes into a lot of detail about that.
So, okay, why Zack Snyder? So this book is really about kind of not only like the DC film universe, but also specifically Zack Snyder's influence on the films, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you
Yeah.
what are some of the interesting things that people might be surprised to learn about Snyder and the DC films?
Well, it seems like the conversation, at least for the last 5 or more years, has been dominated by Marvel,
Yeah.
has been dominated by Star Wars, anything Disney. So I mean, it's such a fascinating tale in itself. The ups and downs, like the roller coaster ride of the highs and the lows, and the constant shifts of where they're taking their universe and what direction they're
Mm-hmm.
going, what kind of tone the movies are going to have. There's been a lot of changing in terms of people in charge of the movies and whatnot. So there's it's a fascinating story in itself. But I mean, I've always been a fan of Zack Snyder. I've always looked up to him. He's been like an inspiring figure in my life, and I thought a great way to honor him would be to write a whole book about it.
And this is, I mean, you are an entertainment journalist, so this is kind of taken
Mm-hmm.
in the style, like a journalistic style, right? And
Yes.
so how did you come across some of the parts of the story that you were going to tell? I mean, what did the journalistic research look like as you were writing?
Well, to be honest, most of the information in the book, I mean, I've been following this fairly closely pretty much since it started. I've always been a big fan. So I've followed along with, there's so many like rumors and news stories of characters who are rumored to be certain DC characters and they aren't at all. There's just been some crazy rumors like Justin Bieber teased he was going to be Robin. So there's just crazy things that, there's just a lot of interesting things. So I've been following for a long time. So it wasn't so much like I knew a lot of what I was going to say. It was a matter of finding a lot of the sources to back everything up.
Yeah.
That was the more tedious aspect of it. And of course, you remember some things along the way you might have forgotten. Things like there was a really funny article about a review for like the cereal that they had for like the promotion of the movie, and how one reviewer compared it to chemicals, the taste of it. So that was pretty interesting. But yeah, so you learn a lot along the way too. But so I knew a lot of it. It was just a matter of um, putting it all together.
Tracking it down, lining it out.
Yep.
Yeah. So, what do you think is kind of the fate of DC film? So, like you said, it's been a lot about Marvel, Disney, Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is DC, because this is our Batman, our Superman, Justice League. Like, how are they going to contend in the film space?
It's interesting. It's always been a kind of like a tough thing because you're talking about some of the most iconic characters ever. Like Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman. I mean the Justice League itself. And it's really interesting how it seems to be this turbulent kind of ride to get to these movies made and to what level of quality and reception of them has been kind of up and down too. So it's really interesting in terms of that.
And what do you think Zack Snyder is? Why him? Like, does he have some sort of like personal story that ties in with his interest in the DC films?
Yep. So, well, first and foremost, he's a polarizing figure. It seems like in the world of movies, he's an amazing guy, amazing gentleman. But his movies have been, either you love him or you hate him. It seems like is kind of the reception of his movies. So that always makes for interesting dialogue, and especially with the fandom as well. The other aspect too of it is also that it's a big part of the book was when his daughter took her life, and how that was a big deal, and how that affected Justice League, how he stepped down from the production. The movie totally shifted and became a completely different movie after he left. And then obviously there was the big fan cry of like, we don't like this. We were promised a different version of the movie. We want Zack's version. And that kind of led to the hashtag release the Snyder Cut movement. There's a book about it by my friend Sean O'Connell.
Yeah.
So there's it was a pretty big deal, and that eventually led to the new version of Justice League on HBO Max.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if you guys are watching and you're like, I'm curious about this, I didn't realize there was so much of this story with Zack Snyder and the DC films. You can actually grab a free copy of Daryn's book right now. So if you go to paperhavenbooks.com/the Snyderverse Saga, all one word, it'll take you straight to the Amazon page. You can grab a free copy there today. There's also a link next to this video. If you just want to click that link, it'll take you right over there. So go ahead and do that while you're here and while you're thinking about it. So Daryn, you mentioned the fandom. So there's a whole community, right, who are very into Snyder's films. How did this community come about? Was it just because they had the love-hate reaction? They had the love reaction for his films in particular?
Partially, yeah, that's definitely part of it. And I think a big thing too is that when you are inspired by someone, and also like Zack and his wife Deborah Snyder, they're always so forthcoming and communicate with their fans, and it's such a cool interaction. And how they he uses the app Vero a lot, and a lot of his fans have gone to that app and have been he'll comment all the time, and he'll reply to people, some fun stuff. And that's kind of what he would kind of tease his version of Justice League before it was announced. He would post things to kind of stir the conversation a little bit and get people talking about it. And he loves his fans, and the fans love him. So I mean, it's definitely part of it too. And also like when after he lost Autumn, the fans really came together, and there's been some really creative aspects to the fandom too. There's a lot of people who utilize their different skills in different ways to either support Zack or to support AFSP, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. The Nerd Queens ran Justice Con, which is a fan run convention, kind of like Comic-Con. And actually last year, the first year they did it, it was pretty heavily featured with like Zack Snyder's Justice League kind of content and panels. And AFSP had a panel, and that actually outperformed Comic-Con, which is crazy. Wow. And so like there's these people doing all these amazing things, and I've always kind of wanted to kind of dip my toe in that world and kind of lend my hand to that and do something. And I kind of had to look at my strengths and weaknesses, and I knew I was a writer, so I just gave it a shot.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, so between Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, or sub in your own favorite character, what's your favorite DC character?
Oh, that's so tough.
I didn't prep you with this question either. Sorry.
I know, no, it's a great question though. I mean, who doesn't love Batman? First off, and Wonder Woman is so awesome, and it's so awesome that Gal Gadot has been that character and taken that to a whole nother level. That's so cool. But personally, I've always been a huge Superman fan. It's the character I relate to. It's like I try to live my life like Clark Kent. So that's just kind of something that I've always kind of related to and kind of lived my life by in a way.
Yeah. Okay. Superman. I can get that. Brenda asks, she's here with us live, and she's asking a question. Oh, Joe says Aquaman and Batman. Good cool. Call on Aquaman.
Yeah.
So Brenda was wondering about your writing process. I know you'd been following, Zack Snyder and the DC film world, but to actually sit down and write the book, do you have any sort of memories of what it was like to sort of say, okay, this is going to become a book, and here we go, I'm writing the first draft, and what that was like from a writer's perspective?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, actually. So when I first started the book, it was in like early 2020, like not very long before COVID kind of hit the US.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, very early 2020. When I started writing the book, it was a little bit different. It was a little bit different book. It wasn't exactly the book that it is today. But when it started off, obviously we didn't have Zack's version of Justice League. It wasn't announced. Yeah. It was kind of thought of as more of a dream than a reality. So I kind of I knew that maybe we'll get it down the road someday, and that so it was more focused on like Batman versus Superman, that movie, and like the big hype leading up to it, and kind of I don't want to say fallout, but kind of everything that happened afterwards, and there's all these changes and what happened to Suicide Squad and what happened to Justice League and all the movies after that, and kind of the legacy of it, and that was kind of like the structure of it back then. But as I kept writing, things kept changing and happening, and so much happened with Justice League, with Zack's version getting released. So I was like, well, I might as well just do the whole thing, and so I just did everything. I started Man of Steel, expanded that chapter, and just kind of made it one big Snyderverse saga covering everything. Especially since it kind of seems like we're probably not going to get any more Zack's movies in this universe. It kind of seems like that's not going to happen anymore. So I tied the ribbon and the bow at the end, but a little bit. But so it covers the whole almost 10 years worth of content.
Wow. So if you started in early 2020 and now we're fall 2021, do you remember like how many, I don't know, like how long did it take you kind of write that first draft and then feel like, okay, now it's ready, it's done, ready to be edited?
Yeah, I mean, it took a while because I keep adding things, and then eventually I get to a point where my wife's like, you have to stop, you have to get this draft done, it has to be done, and I'd be like, what, this happened, this came out, and I kept tinkering and adding stuff, and for me, like I could write like thousands of words a day, because I feel like when you're writing about something that, well, you know what you want to say, or like you're really into the content, it's so much easier, and the words just fly onto the page. So for me, I could write quite a bit of content in one sitting, and I would just go. Just kind of feel like a really long article, basically.
Nice. And so we all need that external person who's like, okay, and now it's time to be done.
Yeah.
Because it's really hard for us who are, in the thick of writing to make that judgment call.
For sure.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Brenda says thanks. And Wonder Woman, another good one. So cool.
Awesome call. Yeah.
Yeah. So folks, if y'all are interested at all in Zack Snyder and his filmmaking, the DC film universe, our classic heroes, and what that process has been like of bringing them back onto the big screen, back into our everyday culture, this is the book for you. And you can actually grab a free copy today, paperravenbooks.com/the Snyderverse Saga, all one word. You can click the link next to this video. Yes, exactly. So, Daryn, is there anything that you want to make sure that people know? Anything that you think maybe would be especially intriguing to them if they're dipping their toes into this world?
Yes. So even if you aren't a huge fan of either the DC movies, or maybe you don't remember them, you haven't seen them for a long time, maybe it's not your thing. I think it was written in a way where I think even if you're not a fan, I think you could probably still enjoy the read. I think you could still enjoy it. I mean, it's so much happened behind the scenes with each one of these movies. There was a whole chapter I have dedicated to Ben Affleck's Batman movie that was supposed to happen, and then why that didn't happen, why it didn't get made, what it was supposed to be about, and how it kind of shifted into the new version of the movie that has Robert Pattinson that's coming out in the next year. So there's a whole chapter dedicated to that, and just kind of the turbulent ride of the movie universe and how everything kind of came about, and what was supposed to happen, what did happen, what didn't happen. And also I have this really cool apparel campaign that I just launched for the book as well. literally called the Snyderverse Saga. It's through a company called Ink to the People, where all the proceeds that come about from that are actually go directly to AFSP. So that's pretty exciting as well.
That's amazing. So how can people participate in the apparel? They go to Ink for the People?
Yep, and you can search for it. I've shared it online as well. I can post it again too.
We can drop a link
to it. So
okay.
Yeah.
So you go to Ink for the People and look for the Snyderverse Saga. Then any sort of apparel that's purchased goes to the suicide prevention.
Yep. Correct.
Okay. Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you. Well, thanks, Daryn. This has been really, I love that this book gives us such a behind the scenes of how these movies are made. I think as sort of movie goers or just participants in culture, we just assume that these things, they get made every couple of years and we'll just go and, we'll watch them. And so it's very passive, but I think you give us a really cool sort of active behind the scenes. The creation of these huge movies actually is sort of years in the making. And then there's a lot of back and forth and up and down and things that we may not have even considered. And so I think it's just, it's fascinating for us to get this preview or this look at something that's such a big part of our culture, and maybe we have no clue really how these films get made, and especially if you're a Zack Snyder fan, then you get all the details. Joe says, I can't believe they get made at all.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah, sometimes that's just the way it goes. And I do want to give a shout out to you guys, Paper Raven Books. Working with you guys has been so awesome every step of the way. It's been a pleasure. It's been a lot of fun. Really collaborative process, and I love your business model too. So I definitely 100% am thankful and recommend Paper Raven Books.
Oh, thanks, Daryn. Oh, it's always fun. I mean, I love that we get to support you because it's such a meaningful project to you and to your community. And then we get to just come and help produce the book and help get it out into the world. And maybe this isn't a book that I would have written. I couldn't write this book, but I love that you could write the book and that we could help get it out to people who their mind, their lives, their all sorts of things could change just because they happened upon, the Snyderverse Saga. So it's pretty cool for us too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Daryn. You guys go ahead and grab that free copy, paperravenbooks.com/the Snyderverse Saga, or click the link next to this video and go ahead and grab that. Even if you're not going to read it till the weekend, get it today while you're here and you're thinking about it. Well, thank you, Daryn. Thanks everybody for being here, and we will see y'all next time. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye.